I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Good evening, this is Dr. Bones Live, and tonight is a guest I haven't had in a long time. It's good to finally have him back on with some new songs, and he's also the creator of my opening. Welcome, Steph from the Dead Sea Navigators.
Thanks, Brian. It's good to be back. And weird hearing that sting. I must do you a new one, man.
Yeah.
10 minutes work.
Well, you know, it's been doing very well for me, and I love having it. And again, like I said before, I can't thank you again for having that because it makes a difference. It's nice to have my own opening.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure to do it. Like I say, I just wish I'd maybe spent a bit more time on it, but maybe another time, eh?
Yeah, well, whenever you have time, because I know you're very busy. So, first off, you guys have gotten 3 new songs recorded, and just recently, like I'll just tell you just before we got on the air, and get you to elaborate a little bit on this, because since life's been happening, you've been pretty much in Vancouver for almost a year now, hasn't it? A little bit over that?
Yeah, it's 2 years now. Yeah, so I'm soaked through now. I'm completely wet. So yeah, I up sticks from London over to Vancouver because I think, as I said to you, I heard the weather was better, but that's not true. So I've been in BC, so I've had to kind of rebuild my studio and start again, and it's not easy working across the Atlantic with half your band on the other side, but we somehow managed it. It just seems to take a lot longer.
Well, I mean, between all the mixing and recording and I guess pretty much the emailing back and forth, I know you go back to visit when you get a chance. It's one of those things that it's, even though we have all this digital technology, it's still not an easy task because in the end, you're in Vancouver and you're just playing around with what the band has sent you and trying to mix it and then send it back to them and it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So by all means, not easy whatsoever.
No, it's not as easy as I thought it might be. I mean, we were a full on rehearsing lots every week and doing gigs and a proper band, I guess is how I describe it. And now we're a sort of spreadsheet band, which is something I never thought would happen. But no, we still manage. It's a weird sort of thing because we sort of jam. But over sort of Skype and via emails, and it's not as easy as you'd think. But yeah, we do still get together. I've managed to go back over to London a few times, and I'm always hooking up with them, and we rehearse and we try and get as much done as we can in a short space of time as possible. So far it's kind of worked. I have to say that the last tracks we did take us a long time, and we're still kind of sort of 3/4 of a way through a new album, but we just thought it'd been so long we should put some tracks out, otherwise people might think we were Dead Sea Navigators. But
for lack of a better phrase, right?
Yeah, we just put the 3 tracks out, but we're kind of speeding up now. We've got the hang of it, and my studio's kind of up and running and sort of upgraded a bit. So yeah, so far so good.
Well, the 3 tracks you have, obviously I'm a big fan, but these new tracks, I really, really are into them because it amazes me the sound quality that comes out of it, and just the fact that there still are no guitars, but it almost sounds like there is, even though there's not, and that's I think one of the coolest things possible. Because I mean, I can't imagine what kind of a daunting task that is to keep the guitars out, but still make it sound like there is somewhat of a guitar riff playing when it's actually just a keyboard or a synth or something.
Yeah, well, no, we cheated. There is guitars this time. I was kind of rummaging around for sounds and being deliberately avoiding guitars is I don't know. It becomes like a theme almost. It's like, oh yeah, whatever you do, don't use a guitar, and you're cutting off a certain avenue. There's not a lot of guitars on there, but no, I did dust off my old Telecaster, and there is a couple of little bits of guitar in there. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine because now I feel
back on it.
now.
Power chord.
Well, now I feel kind of a little red faced because some of the song when I was listening to the songs, like no, it really sounds like guitars. Like, but man, he said there was no guitars. If he's doing that, that's amazing. So
that was certainly the case with the last EP. The Uncharted EP, there were absolutely categorically no guitars on that, other than obviously the bass. And there were some synths that we used that I'd put through distortion units, or you can make them sort of sound like they're feeding back and stuff like that. So it did. People would say, "Well, there's guitars on it," and I said, "No, there isn't." And they said, "Yes, there is." And I thought, "Well, I recorded it."
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, did you record the album? Because
yeah, so it's a kind of, I mean, with all the technology available these days, it's kind of a moot point almost. You can make anything sound like anything. So I could play a table and I could make it sound like a guitar if you put it through the right processes, you know. So just being deliberately obstinate and choosing not to do whatever you want to do on a guitar, I just thought was beginning to become self-defeating. And so I've lifted that ban on guitars. There are now a couple of guitar bits on the new tracks. I guess also you kind of get stuck in a rut and you don't want to be just doing the same thing over and over again.
Well, fair enough. I mean, that you have to evolve in some aspect or another, even if it means kind of compromising what you initially kind of set out to do. I mean, but only to a certain extent, because I mean you haven't gone like way far above and beyond. You've got to introduce just a little bit, whereas some other bands, they've compromised what they initially.
I think it's just.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's just, I'm just wary of becoming a guitar band. It's just because, as I think I said to you before, I used to be, a full-on guitarist in a guitar band. And I think I just got bored of that sound. I'm not necessarily bored of guitars per se. I'm just bored of that straight-ahead guitar band sound. And I still listen to lots of guitar music, and I've got nothing against it. It was just personally for me, I just was running out of ideas. So I just needed to put restraints on myself to stop just coming out with the same old boring power chord stuff and think outside the box. A horrible phrase, but
Oh well, I'm sure some people get the reference to box, but we're not going to go into that. So, but no, it's still very interesting to me, just because it's. I like the change, because it's with these 3 new songs, it's almost like there's a bit of a heavier sound to it in some of them.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean that's always something we tried to compensate for by not having a guitarist, was not to sound sort of like wimpy coffee table music. Just if you take guitars away, you sometimes take a lot of the potential for being powerful, and that was also part of the. Not an experiment, but part of the agenda was just to hopefully still do music that had some power to it, but without relying on a Marshall stack and a big fuzz box,
Absolutely. And one of the songs mainly that kind of sticks out as really good to me, came out as a heavier sound, was Your Man from Havana. And just playing off that song for a minute, I still listen to all your other songs, and so that some of the CDs, one of the CDs you sent me with is it Rue Le Coeur or Rue Le Giguère?
Yeah, Rue Git Le Coeur. I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Rue Git Le Coeur. So yeah,
you pronounce it way better than I.
Well, I also grew up in Quebec, so.
That probably it's a little street in Paris that where the beat poets used to live, and the beat writers like William Burroughs. They kind of stayed in a small hotel on that road and wrote some of their more famous works. And so I was just reading about this extraordinary, small, grubby, grimy little hotel where all these poets and writers were, well, out of their boxes, out of their heads on whatever.
Yeah.
Just came out with this great work. And I guess it was a romantic look back at those times was the inspiration for that song. And so I named it after that road. Little did I know that I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. But That's where that comes from.
Oh, either way, it's a good tune, and I loved the two live tunes as well. I mean, I just those ones. It's really cool to hear you guys live because since like I'll never get an opportunity to see the band in full live, at least not at this point in time. It was nice to have those live songs as well, and it's just most of those songs. I'll tell you, like I'll be driving the car and even before I turn the music on or just walking down a hall somewhere, I'm humming the tune or kind of playing it over my head just because I just love the progression of some of them. And even though this is like an older song, Dr. Krellin, I mean, just kind of near the end, just the kind of the almost kind of climb with a kind of heavier piano in it, and just that part like sticks out in my mind all the time because it's such a good. It's not not gonna rip, but it's such a good like mixture of notes and music in it, and just one of those things that really sticks out. I wish I could say like I could try to hum it, but probably wouldn't do a good job, wouldn't do it justice. So.
Just you got the CD, just play that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing it for you.
No. So speaking of just a little hotel where I used to write. As I was telling you, I am actually going to Cuba on Sunday, and I do have some pictures actually from the first time I was in Cuba and went to Havana. That I'm gonna, as soon as I can get them pulled up, I'll send them over to you. And I'm pretty sure I got a picture of the bar that. Oh my God! Please don't tell me I'm blanking this poet's name.
Is it Hemingway?
Hemingway. Thank you. Yes, Ernest Hemingway. So the writer Ernest Hemingway, and this thing was literally a little hole in the wall, like no bigger than a small room.
Yeah, I've also I can't say I've read a great deal of Hemingway, but I do like his daiquiris. Apparently, there's a daiquiri named after Ernest Hemingway that I think he used to drink while he was in Spain. And I came across this in a bar in Vancouver recently, the Hemingway daiquiri. So, can I just recommend that for everybody out there?
Absolutely. I'll. You know, it's one drink I'll probably have to look up because if I go to Cuba, they may not know what I'm talking about. So, a lot of times you can have these drinks and look at you like you got two heads. Like they're like, well, what's in it? Oh, okay, no problem.
It's just a daiquiri with some poetry.
Yeah, well, they may not quite get that, right? So, but the one picture I did want to send you, I before I took the picture, I asked the tour guide about it, and it's pretty much it's like a huge mural on the side of a building, and it's a picture of Che Guevara, and in Spanish it says "Keep it up, Fidel, you're doing well," and then not too much later. Guess who had him assassinated and had his hands wiped completely clean of it? So,
yeah. Bizarre. I mean, the song doesn't. I don't know. I wouldn't even attempt to wade into the country's political history.
No. There's way too much involvement there.
Without a degree in history. But yeah, it's kind of I guess again, it's the romantic poet in me, though the lack of romantic poet in me. I borrow from other romantic poets. But I'd been watching the film Our Man in Havana, which is a Graham Greene novel. I'm a big fan of the English writer Graham Greene, and I've read probably all of his books, if not most of them. And I'd just been revisiting Our Man in Havana, and it just struck me that it was about. I was writing the song around the same time, and it kind of struck a chord with some of what I was getting across, which was just about people's perception of truth, or the truth, or their truth, more like it, because people. The sort of truth and facts has become a sort of weird currency with the internet, in that you can read something that's so-called fact, and then a completely polar opposite opinion that will also be portrayed as complete fact. And so I think it becomes ever more difficult to be 100% certain as to what's the truth or what's a fact anymore. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going down that avenue.
Right.
You know what I mean, though, when people just
absolutely.
This is true. This is how it is, right? This is absolutely true. And then you'll have someone else to say, no, it's like this. This is absolutely true. And you think, well, it's just everything seems to be polarized more than ever, and it's always black and white, and there's no more grey. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a grey person.
No, there's
all the rain.
There's still tons of gray area, and one real thing, quick, just like because I'm not a conspiracy theorist either, but just a quick thing on this, and then we're gonna get into your man from Havana. But is the Malaysian flight 370? I mean, like as soon as that happened, the conspiracy theories started, and it's just one of those things that almost every day there's something new posted. There's some sort of news report, and well, what if this and this is like, oh, guys, like really, like, and it
Yeah,
just you kind of get.
it makes for interesting reading, but unless you're a professional aircraft disaster investigator, I'm probably not going to take you very seriously.
Well, that's right. I mean, I can say, well, it would be like myself saying, well, I watch Mayday all the time, so I know exactly what I'm talking about because the NTSB is on there all the time investigating these things. So yeah, this is what I think.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I have no degree, and I things I'm saying, I'm just going based on what I've seen or heard. Doesn't mean it's truth or fact in any way, shape, or form. And in no way am I an expert on that sort of thing at all.
Yeah, and that's not to say, that the experts are always right either, but it's just they're more likely to be right.
Yeah. That's why the degrees and they're experts in this stuff and we're not. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
but I just wanted to just mention that real quick because I'm done with that. It's just time the conspiracy theorists there for just a second. So we're gonna take a quick little break here and we're gonna listen to one of the brand new Dead Sea Navigator tracks called "Your Man from Havana." Dig this.
It's always black or white. There's never a gray shade of view to the truth.
All right, Dead Sea Navigators, your man from Havana. Now, like I said, this time around, we should be getting up to Havana. So, if I much as possible, try to get you pictures or some little video footage for it. But I do know I do have some old pictures what I will send you, and they're still kind of like deep in the heart of Havana. So, some of the old buildings and some of the murals and rings on the wall. I mean, because it's pretty crazy the amount of guess I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. The amount of political involvement there is there. I mean, so many banners. Like there's like, and 2 years in a row. No, they have like posters up or banners up in the airport. Free these 4 guys, and these guys only did this, and of course you're only getting part of the story, and it's just amazing that there's still so much of that going on. And the one thing that really got me, and it almost makes you thankful you live in a democracy as opposed to a communism, was the guide was saying that not so much anymore because now it's Raul Castro's in power, but even early as like maybe 10 years ago, Fidel Castro would go out and give speeches in the main square. But sometimes these things before as long, but you had to go and you had to stay.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine. I mean, especially with the generation coming up behind me is they have a short attention span. I couldn't imagine having those kids trying to have to stand there and stand there for 4 hours. But then again, different side of the ocean, and things are different, so it'll probably be a little bit easier. But just in general, you think of where you grew up, and the way that it was politically run, and thinking, if you want, you can shut them off or that sort of thing. You don't have to pay attention. But there, you had to go and stand for hours and hours, sit whatever, and listen to this guy speak, and even though you're bored out of your mind.
Yeah, I'd be hard pushed to listen to David Cameron for 4 hours. That's for sure. 4 minutes would probably be 4 seconds would be about my limit. And I don't think I've ever heard Stephen Harper speak for very long either. So
yeah.
I can't say I've paid much attention to.
No, you're not missing much, because really, I mean, it's just one of those things. I can't watch the news too much or read about too much, just because it's either frustrating or it's just way too depressing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, even though it's part of we'll call it daily life, it's one of those things I just try to stay away from. Because most time I watch these guys being made fun of as opposed to what they're actually saying. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. And maybe that's a sad indictment of our generation, is that we just take democracy for granted when people are fighting for it all the time. And, those that don't have it don't take it so much for granted.
No.
we do, and maybe we're bored of democracy.
No.
Maybe a bit of fascism would work us up.
Yeah, I'm sure that would go over very well.
Yeah, I've been south of the border. They'd love it down there.
Yeah. But I just one of those things. So we're gonna move into the next song. We're gonna talk about for a little bit. The next one is Concierge. Again, I mean, it's kind of got the some of a double meaning. Whereas concierge can mean just a basic janitor, or it can mean like he's like a maitre d' sort of thing. So, what was
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wish the title was as about to tell you, but as part of our strange writing process, what we do is we get the basic sort of music together, and just for the sake of, so we know which song we're talking about with each other, we have working titles. And I think quite a few bands do this actually, but you give a song a title before the song's finished, and to begin with it would be things like Fast One or Swingy One, or and then you start running out of these names that are sort of descriptive, and you start just giving them titles. And Concierge was simply just a title that was a working title.
Okay.
It did evoke something in me, having stayed in a few hotels around the world, not very glamorous ones, I have to say, but I have met the odd concierge, and I just thought it was an interesting idea for a song. Having said that, the song is not really about a concierge. It's about a chance meeting with an airhead. But I wanted to call the song Tequila Mockingbird. But somebody said, I think there's a band called that or something, and I was basically outvoted by the rest of the band. But for me, this song is called Tequila Mockingbird, but for everyone else it's called Concierge. So it was a working title that stuck, I'm afraid. So there's a warning to bands out there.
No, that's fine though, just because like I said, Concierge is kind of a double meaning. It's funny too, because if it was Tricky Ballad a janitor, and this is not a slight towards you, but if it was a tough ballad janitor, you might as well be listening to Weird Al Yankovic, because that's sort of silly thing he would do, right? So like I said, it's not a slight, but I mean,
no, there probably is a good song out there somewhere that could be written about a concierge. However, this isn't that. This is it wasn't. The song isn't about a concierge, but it was I don't know. It kind of suits it, I suppose. It's. I think it's because apart from Your Man from Havana, we'd stuck with the Uncharted EP had single word titles. There seemed to be the sort of prevailing fashion was to have your band name and your song names really long. Like, I'm not going to name names, but
right.
And it's nothing against them. It's just that's just what they decided to do. All of a sudden, band names were like whole sentences, like The Book, The Tree, and The Fence Post. Was like the band name, and the song would be The Day My Tires Let Me Down Big Time Outside the Shop. How long can you make these band names and these song titles? So I just decided to go the other way. I mean, Dead Sea Navigators is not a short band name. I know, I'm just as guilty, but we just went with this one word.
All right, just 1 second, guys. There, for some reason, it just dropped the call, so it's right back here.
Sorry, Brian. I just managed to cut myself off.
Yeah, I just literally just stopped. It's like, well, that definitely wasn't an internet connection problem. But
sorry about that.
No problem. So finish off where you left off.
No, the weirdest thing was just as I cut myself off, I just came out with the most profound, genius statement that it's completely lost it.
Oh, no.
The moment's gone. It was fantastic. It's never to be repeated. No, I was just talking about long band names, I think, and long song titles, and we went with short song titles, and Concierge fitted that as well. It was just they were all one word. All the tracks on the album at the moment are all just one word titles. And then, of course, we came up with Your Man from Havana, which is not.
Yeah.
It was called Havana to start with, but it's just, it didn't make as much sense, so we went with Your Man from Havana.
Well, and like you said, you're right. It's a little bit long title, but it's not that long. It could be a lot worse because there's some titles that are obviously extremely long, but they don't end up making any sense. They start kind of contradicting each other.
It's almost like you've heard half of the song if your title's that long.
Oh yeah.
if it's the day the carrier bag turned angry and leapt out of the cupboard at me, and the song starts and it's the day the carrier bag got angry and leapt. Well, you've heard half the song already.
Done. Yeah. So on that note, we'll move into a short titled song. This is Concierge by the Dead Sea Navigators.
You're someone I said, place a label on the outside. Oh, with a cowboy's mind. She said, it's my style, it's what I'm famous for. Oh, then I'll say goodnight. So why the dancers smile? I think it's time to say goodbye. Oh, the disrepair, all the damage done to your head. Slack, stained, rain on vulture's life.
All right, that was Concierge by the Dead Sea Navigators. Now, Steph, with this song in particular, I love that the ending, little beginning part. It's so catchy. That kind of that high pitch, almost like kind of back and forth on the keyboard,
Uh-huh.
and it just that really is it's a good intro to it because it's just like and it's different from what I've heard from your songs in the past. So it's like I'm not sure how to quite explain the difference it is, but it's got a bit of a different feel to it, put it that way, and then it kind of comes in.
It's a sequence thing which I don't think we've really done before. It's the boring answer is I bought a new piece of equipment is really what it is. I was visiting my local music shop down in downtown Vancouver there, and I was trying out a new keyboard, and it was it's kind of one of the settings on the keyboard, and I just altered it a little bit, and I made it do this repetitive sequence thing. And to be honest, I pretty much wrote the song in the shop. It sounds like an episode of a bad 80s Glee or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was nobody there. There was nobody dancing on the countertops in leg warmers or anything.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote that kind of part in the shop, and so obviously I had to buy the keyboard, which I did. But I was going to buy it anyway. But yeah, I kind of half wrote the song. It's true. I half wrote the song in the shop and thought, yeah, that's probably going to turn into something. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Well, man, it turned out very well because like I really like that intro. But I just for me, this song too is kind of got the classic like Dead Sea Navigators feel to it, just because when you get to the part, just the way when you kind of I'm not sure if you want to say drag a note out, but just like when we get the part when we say it's time to say goodbye, and you kind of let it go out a little bit longer, like and that is just that just like pops right in. It's so catchy because I mean, you know, I've heard that in other songs too, and just like to me that's part of Dead Sea Navigators and who you guys are.
Yeah, I guess it's my frustrated cabaret singer in me, I suppose. And I think what makes that, if it does make it, but for me, what I think makes that track is the sleazy rhythm section, which I think is, you know, we shouldn't forget the other two guys, Nick and Claire, who I think have, you know, don't know, played a blinder on that one, and yeah. I think the Dead Sea Navigators owe a lot to the sleazy rhythm section, to be honest. It would be a cabaret singer playing bad piano otherwise.
Fair enough. And actually, it's kind of like cabaret, but whatever bar you guys were playing, I just wanted to ask about this really quickly, and then we got time to get into Brigitte too, is the song Anka at the very beginning, when it's got basically sounds like something from like maybe like the 30s or the 40s. Then you got the guy repeating just before you start the song, going, "Leave your problems outside."
Oh yes, yeah. That's actually, yeah. We could probably get into trouble for that, but that's actually a sample lifted from the film Cabaret. Speaking of cabaret singers, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a pretty old. I think it's Liza Minnelli in a Bob Fosse. Choreographed yes, Bob Fosse was a choreographer, wasn't he? But it's a great film if you've never seen it. Academy Award winning, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure when it was made. It's in colour, so it can't be that old. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie with some amazing songs, and it's about rise of the Nazi in which I've mentioned, because I'm not a fascist sympathiser whatsoever. But yeah, if you've never seen it, you should absolutely check it out. You must have heard the song "Money Makes the World Go Round."
Yes, I have.
That film. I'm trying to think of some of the other famous.
Okay, because that's one movie I've not seen.
Liza Minnelli. Yeah, but it's a sample lifted from. There's a guy who's a sort of maitre d' in that film. I think Charles Gray. Is it Charles Gray? Can't remember. But he's a fantastic character. He's like a sort of MC at a sort of 1930s Berlin nightclub, and that's his voice that we stole from the film, which is why that particular live version hasn't been released onto the worldwide iTunes world, because we'd probably be in a lot of trouble with MGM or something. But that's where that was from.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to ask about that because I've been thinking about that for a while, and then then I'd forget about it, and now I got the opportunity, and since we're getting at the Brigida, since you got a couple tunes with that with women's names here, I figured it'd be the best time to ask, so I wouldn't forget again and remember it. So,
Yeah.
But the last song we're going to get into tonight is Brigida. If I'm pronouncing that right, I hope I am. Or Brigitta, I'm not sure exactly.
You probably are. I mean, I'm being English, we pronounce Paris, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just a name that I plucked from the air, really. I thought it was a nice name, and also I think you have to be careful if you're going to drop girls' names in songs that you don't actually know anybody that's called that name. Because if you start singing a sort of lovey-dovey ballad to a girl called Julia or something, and your missus is called Janice, and she says, "Why are you singing?"
Yeah.
and vice versa. You start singing a horrible song about somebody called Rebecca, and the next time you run into a Rebecca, what's that about me? So I just picked a name that I absolutely knew nobody by that name. But I like the name as well, to be honest. I think it's a nice name.
Yeah, I can't say anyone by that name either. So we're going to listen to this one more tune and talk about this in just a few minutes. So here is the Dead Sea Navigators with Brigitte.
Someone blew the tires out. Sharpshooters, I was keen. Does it matter if I can't see? I'll head down south and pack it in. Was a final time. She breathed out a state of the crackle of the horsewhip leather. Come on, I'll buy you an ice cream. Doesn't matter if you can't see.
All right, that was Dead Sea Navigators with Brigitte, and I tell you, Steph, in this song in particular, man, that is some of the smoothest drumming I've heard out of you guys ever. I mean, that was absolutely brilliant. I loved his just kind of short, kind of almost kind of pick up, kind of quick roll, but he did so smoothly, man. I'm actually pretty amazed with that. Like the more I listen to it this time, because usually when I listen to songs, I pick them apart instrument by instrument, and that is very smooth. That was actually very enjoyable.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. Our drummer is a girl, Claire.
Right on. Well, Claire, that's some of the smoothest drumming I've ever heard in my life. So hats off to you. That's great.
Yeah. No, she's excellent. I don't want to say too much about how great she is. She might, I don't know, might get big-headed on me or something.
Yeah.
And say, no, on this track you need like a 5-minute drum solo.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, man, it's great kind of we'll call it mellower tune, but still a good one. Still flows very very nicely. I mean, like I said, I just love the drumming, and then the whole arrangement of the song. It's decent for a mellow song because I mean there's a million and one of them, but it just all a matter of how they're done. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily because some people say, well, mellow songs are can make you feel or make you do this and that and the other thing. Well, they don't always have to. They can just be very good musically, and just like if you listen to the music itself and let's say ignore the lyrics, I mean, the song is still decent,
Yeah, I never set out to write a mellow song. I think if I did, it would be awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just the stuff we do is just slightly slower tempo than a lot of bands, I guess, and I think that's probably something to do with the piano and the fact that we probably drank too much before we rehearsed and wrote music, so we just couldn't be asked to go any faster. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I remember playing that. That is probably one of the older songs that's kind of going to be on the new album. It was one of the last songs that we did live, and I used to hit the piano pretty bloody hard at the end of that song. So it might sound mellow, but it wasn't.
Well, that's the only way I could come up with it. The point I didn't. No, I'm not saying like mellow like Anne Murray, anything like that. I'm just like
I know what you mean. I've got a lot of time for Andy Williams, but
yeah. But other than that, man, it's nice to see these new tunes, and I'm glad that you guys are working on more, and that you're finally kind of getting this thing down. But we're pretty much out of time. But Steph, thank you so much for coming back on the show, man. It's been too long. It's been a lot of fun to have you back on and talk about your guys' new songs.
Absolute pleasure, Brian, and thank you so much for playing the tracks, and hopefully it won't be too long before we've got some more for you.
Oh, anytime. So guys, that was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed my interview with Steph from the Dead Sea Navigators. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Bones out.